Welcome to Champagne Friday. I'm here at our office, very beautiful office in the middle of Stockholm, one of the most fashionable addresses that suits Champagne Club very well. And after this, I will take a picture and download it on the Champagne Hiking app because it's a new location for me, of course. Well, what have I picked today? I actually went into my own fridge, just grabbed a couple of bottles and ended up with these three. It seems to be not any theme, but it actually is because it's three very different champagnes coming from the heart of the Marne Valley. What is the heart of the Marne Valley? Ailly. Ailly is the center. Ailly is where I fell in love with champagne. Boulanger. When I tasted the first bottles of RD, I went down to Champagne the next year, the next summer, and I hiked around to try to find really good producers, good growers. And I fell in love with a couple of them. And I think the one that came closest to me was Flinio. I even tried to get Flinio into the Swedish monopoly without success, even if the people who were working at the monopoly loved it. Anyway, what is this? I got two champagnes based in Ailly, Egrot. It didn't exist when I started. The firm is actually from 2012, so very, very recent brand. And the first time when I taste them, I cheated a little bit because I tasted just 2 minutes before to see where we would end up. And first, it's their regular brut. Then we have the extra brut. And normally, that's not very much difference. The general concept of making the difference between a regular brut and an extra brut is sometimes it's exactly the same wine with different levels of sugar. But the best producers will normally work with slightly more age on the very dry one, on the extra dry. And the extra brut or the zero dosage, what kind of very dry champagne they make. Because the sugar makes the champagne feel slightly more mature and more accessible from the start. In this case, I read a little bit about it. It's a huge difference. You have approximately 5 years of aging, and here the base is from 2009 in a regular non-vintage. So it's 12, 13 years or something like that in a non-vintage champagne. And there are more differences. The story from this house or this small producer, Récolté Manipulant, of course, is love. It's the love between two people from two different villages. Elizabeth from Ailly and her husband coming from Louvois, outside Boussy, also Grand Cru. And in the first one, in the Brut, it's slightly more Louvois, and in the extra Brut, it's Ailly based. And from their belief and mine as well, if you want to have more power, you need to age slightly longer. Ailly will be more masculine, bigger, even better than Louvois, and that's exactly what I find here. To finish with, it's very close to Ailly. It's just on the border, but on the DC side. From a producer, Hérbrart, you know that one? Probably the best grower in Mareuil-sur-Ailly, together with Pouillon. And in this case, it's the first time he produces a single vineyard wine. Very young wines, but for him, this is the gem. This is the diamond in the entire collection of all the wines from Hérbrart. Just released 2014 DC Clos Le Lion, oak barrel fermented, very low dosage, Chardonnay. Do you recognize the concept? Well, it's Corne Boutré, similar to Corne Boutré, but with a little bit different oakiness, more slightly younger oak, a little bit more oaky than the Jackson ones from the bigger demi-nudes instead of the barrels. So let's taste. Starting with the Brut from Egrot. Nothing special, nothing to complain about. A regular, very strong, heavily Pinot Noir based young champagne. Slightly metallic notes, but also a little bit of strawberries, a lot of red apples. Well made, but a little bit neutral. The red apples, not so many layers. A little bit of metallic notes in the taste as well. Perfectly dosed, quite good aging potential, a nice drink, but nothing more. Longer aging, 2009 based, and the house started, or the producers started under their own name when the buildings were ready, 2012. So it was actually wines that is older than the house itself. Very mature, very obvious IE notes. The old style, very similar to what I just spoke about, the Flignon style or the older bottles from Egrot, a little bit gaussé. Leather. Leather is the first, strongest typical note. Dark chocolate, a lot of sweaty, animalistic, sexy notes. Not the beginner's type of champagne. Huge muscles, really powerful in every step. And a lot of gamey notes, which I find absolutely splendid together with food. So this is a mealtime champagne. Let's taste. Wow. Little bit wine dimensional if you compare to a Boulanger or something like that. But huge power. Very typical IE. I think there was 10% or something like that from Mutiny, neighboring Premier Cru village. But it's IE that stings through, and the maturity is so obvious. The same notes, a little bit even fishy notes, fishy Pinot Noir, like Michael Brabant always spoke about from the great Pinot Noirs, and I definitely agree. Here you really have it. And if you really search for it, there's a beautiful, refined, chalky minerality, which is also typical for IE, which is so important. But because you have this sun-drained, very rich grapes from the southern slopes of IE, it will be a little bit more tricky to find it, but it's definitely there underneath this very mature, rich, gamey fruit. Big, impressive, huge difference. Price-wise, almost the same. Go for this one. Okay, now to something completely different, like John Cleese would have said, and it is. Next village, other type of grape, different vinification. I understand why you think this is something really special. It is. It is so unique in its style. Since I know what it is, I'm searching for similarities to Corn Bautré from Jackson, from the same village. This is closer to the road, very steep, but the most obvious difference is not the fruit, because the fruit is quite similar. You have very much of this Mirabelle plums, and a certain exotic floweriness to it. Also a little bit of hay, which is in the other one. But on top of that, this is much more smoky. This is much more hazelnutty, almost IE type of note. And popcorn, toasted aromas, which you absolutely don't find in the Corn Bautré. On the nose, I will say it's slightly more direct, slightly more flattering than Corn Bautré. Let's taste. Very modern, very much like a great new type of vinification, Meursault, or some of the best Chassagne Montrachet, very much Burgundy. It's made in that style. It's more Comte Lafon than Ramoni, for instance, something like that. It's a big wine. It's still got this nervous tingle to it, which should be the case from 2014. And it's a new baby. not many bottles made. Clos Le Lion 2014. Well, my friends, go out and search for producers like this. There are so many great producers around IE, in Marais-sur-Ailly, in DC, and especially in IE. Have a lovely Friday and a lovely weekend.